It's October 21st, 2021. Security cameras at the luxury Spire, San Diego apartment complex capture a man stepping into the elevator. His name is Ali Abulaban, but millions know him as JinnKid, the TikTok star famous for his spot-on Tony Montana impressions. He's wearing casual clothes and appears calm as he rides up to the 5th floor. From the outside, everything looks normal. Just another resident heading home. But this isn't Ali's home anymore. He'd been kicked out days earlier by his wife Aina, and what the cameras don't show is what's about to happen when those elevator doors open. Because in less than 5 minutes, 2 people will be dead, and the man in that elevator will transform from internet celebrity to cold-blooded killer. Yes, you watched right. Ali has just committed a great crime. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. After committing double murder, Ali's first call isn't to 911, it's to his mother. He tells her what he's done, seeking comfort from the one person who's always been there for him. 20 minutes later, he calls the police to report the crime. To understand how we got to this moment, we need to go back to the beginning. Back to when Ali Abulaban was just a guy with a gift for voices, and Aina was the woman who believed in his dreams. Ali Nasser Abulaban was born in Staten Island, New York. Growing up, he discovered he had an incredible talent for mimicking voices and accents. He could do cartoon characters, movie stars, and impressions so accurate they made people stop and stare. His specialty was Tony Montana from Scarface, that gravelly, Cuban-accented voice that Al Pacino made famous. Ali could nail it perfectly. But Ali's childhood wasn't just about laughter and impressions. Like many young men, he struggled to find his footing. After graduating high school, he bounced between jobs, working shifts at restaurants, dabbling in retail, and even doing small side gigs just to get by. Deep down, he wanted to break into entertainment, but that path was far from clear. In his early 20s, a turning point came when he decided to leave the US and try something new. Ali moved to Japan, where he worked as a civilian contractor at a US military base. Life there was different. The discipline of the military environment gave him structure, but outside of work, he still leaned into his natural charisma, cracking jokes, entertaining friends, and always slipping into one of his many voices. It was in Japan that Ali began thinking seriously about comedy and performance. And it was in Japan that he met Aina. Aina Abulaban was born in the Philippines, where she spent her early years surrounded by family and culture that shaped her warm and vibrant personality. Like many young Filipinas, she dreamed of building a better life and seeking new opportunities abroad. In her early 20s, she moved to Japan for work, joining the growing community of overseas Filipinos who found jobs there. It was in Japan that Aina's life took a dramatic turn because this is where she would eventually cross paths with Ali Abulaban, the man who would change her life forever. She was bright, warm, and carried a sense of calm that balanced Ali's larger-than-life personality. Where he was loud, she was steady. Where he thrived in the spotlight, she grounded him in reality. Their connection was instant, and before long, their lives became deeply intertwined. When he met Aina, she was immediately drawn to his humor and charisma. Ali was the kind of guy who could walk into a room and have everyone laughing within minutes. Aina saw potential in him that maybe even he didn't see in himself at the time. She became his biggest supporter, encouraging him to pursue entertainment and believing he could make something big happen with his talent. Aina, whose full name was Aina Maria Abulaban, had a completely different kind of upbringing. She wasn't someone who chased the spotlight the way Ali did. Instead, Aina found fulfillment in family life and supporting those around her. She had dreams of building a stable home, raising children, and creating the kind of warm, happy family environment she had known growing up. When she met Ali, she thought she had found the perfect partner to build that future with. Their relationship moved quickly. Ali was charming, funny, and seemed completely devoted to Aina. He made her laugh constantly, and she felt like she'd found someone truly special. They got married and decided to move to San Diego, California, where the weather was perfect and the opportunities seemed endless. Aina wasn't just Ali's wife. She became his partner in every sense. When Ali decided to start creating content for social media, Aina was right there beside him, filming his videos, helping with ideas, and supporting his growing online presence. She had a natural eye for what worked and what didn't, and her input helped shape Ali's content in ways that made it more appealing to audiences. The timing couldn't have been better. TikTok was exploding in popularity, and Ali's impressions were perfect for the platform's short-form video format. His Tony Montana bits were instant hits, He'd deliver classic Scarface lines in that unmistakable accent, often while doing everyday activities or reacting to current events. The contrast between the serious gangster voice and mundane situations was comedy gold. Aina appeared in many of these videos, playing the straight woman to Ali's characters. She'd set up scenarios, ask questions that prompted his impressions, or simply react naturally to his performances. Their chemistry was obvious, and viewers loved seeing this couple who seemed genuinely happy and in love. The JinnKid account started gaining traction fast. Thousands of followers became tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. Each video was getting millions of views, and Ali was starting to understand that he might actually be able to make a living doing this. Aina was thrilled for him. She'd always believed she could make it big, and now it was actually happening. But success on social media requires constant content creation. Ali was filming multiple videos every day, always looking for new angles on his impressions, new situations to put Tony Montana in. The pressure was intense, but the rewards were starting to show. Brand partnerships began coming in, and real money was being made from what started as just having fun with voices. By 2021, JinnKid had nearly 1 million followers on TikTok. Ali had built a legitimate social media empire, and Aina had been there for every step of the journey. They were living in a beautiful apartment in San Diego. Their daughter was healthy and happy, and from the outside, they looked like the perfect social media power couple. But behind the cameras, things were changing. Success was affecting Ali in ways that Aina didn't expect and didn't like. The man who had once been grateful for her support was becoming possessive and controlling. The fame that they'd built together was driving them apart. It started small. Ali began questioning Aina about her interactions with other people. If she was friendly with someone at the grocery store or smiled at a neighbor, Ali would want to know why. He'd ask detailed questions about her conversations, her activities when he wasn't around, and who she was texting or talking to on the phone. Aina initially tried to dismiss this behavior as normal relationship stuff. Maybe Ali was just feeling insecure about their success, or maybe he was stressed from the constant pressure of content creation. She loved him and wanted to support him through whatever he was going through. But the questioning became interrogation. Things escalated when Aina discovered that Ali was cheating, and that discovery added fuel to already tense fights. During the trial, Ali admitted that Aina had accused him of infidelity with a woman who lived in their building. He denied those specific allegations, but prosecutors introduced evidence that he had been sending angry video messages to her, demanding to know if she was cheating. There was also evidence of him shouting at her and saying she can't do anything. On a particular live stream on TikTok, Ali was seen shouting at her and telling her he brought her to America and no man can ever do that for her. He constantly belittled her and used so many derogatory words. Aina grew tired of the constant fight and abuse and decided to call 911. She reported an abuse by her husband, and when the police showed up, Ali went wilder. He couldn't even hide his rage and personality. Aina was advised to take the case further, but she dropped it hoping he would change. By late 2021, Aina had reached her breaking point. The psychological abuse had been escalating for months, and she realized that the man she'd married was not the man she was living with now. The success they built together had changed Ali into someone she didn't recognize and couldn't continue living with. Aina started confiding in friends and family members about Ali's behavior. She described feeling trapped, constantly monitored, and afraid of her husband's reactions to normal daily interactions. The people who cared about her could see that she was in an abusive relationship and needed to get out. The decision to ask Ali to leave wasn't made lightly. Aina knew it would mean the end of their marriage, major changes for their daughter, and also the risk of losing her visa to stay further in the US. In October 2021, Aina got help from officials to get Ali out of the apartment. After a reported case of abuse, he was told to stay far away from her, but that was his plan. To him, Aina wasn't just his wife, she was his property, his creation, his key to everything he built. Losing her meant losing control, and losing control was something Ali's mind simply couldn't process. Ali moved out, but he had no intention of respecting Aina's boundaries. Almost immediately, he began planning ways to maintain access to her life. His first move was calculating and deliberate. He made copies of the apartment keys before returning them to Aina. She thought she was safe in her own home, but Ali could come and go as he pleased. But physical access was only part of Ali's plan. He also secretly installed listening software on their daughter's iPad. This wasn't a random decision, it was a sophisticated surveillance operation using their child's device as a spy tool. Aina had no reason to suspect that conversations in her apartment were being monitored in real time. The technology that had made Ali famous was now being used to stalk the woman he claimed to love. From wherever he was staying, Ali could hear everything happening in Aina's apartment. Her phone calls, her conversations with friends, even when she had visitors. He was maintaining a constant, invisible presence in her life. Aina, meanwhile, was trying to rebuild. For the first time in months, she could breathe freely in her own space. She could talk to friends without being questioned, make plans without asking permission, and start imagining what her life might look like without constant fear and control. She began exploring new friendships and the possibility of dating again. After the battle with Ali's jealousy, Aina was rediscovering her independence and social connections. She was talking to people, going out, and slowly becoming herself again. October 21, 2021, started as what Aina hoped would be a normal day in her new life. She was settling into her routine without Ali's constant presence, and for the first time in a long while, she felt like she could be herself in her own home. That afternoon, Aina had a visitor, Rayburn Barron, a 29-year-old man who was also Aina's longtime friend. Ali had never liked Barron, and even more at that moment where he didn't have access to his wife, but Barron did. Through the listening device on his daughter's iPad, Ali heard Aina talking and laughing with another man in what he still considered to be his apartment. The conversation was friendly, comfortable, intimate in a way that Ali couldn't contain himself. Ali's response was immediate and violent. He grabbed a gun and drove to the Spire San Diego apartment complex. This wasn't a sudden loss of control. Ali had to get in his car, drive across town, park, and walk through the building. He had multiple opportunities to reconsider, to calm down, to choose a different path. Instead, he chose murder. The security cameras captured his. Ali moved through the lobby with purpose, not panic. He looked like a man executing a plan, not someone having a breakdown. He took the elevator, 35th floor, stood inside like every normal user. Using the copied card, he entered Aina's apartment and found her with Rayburn. What happened next was swift and brutal. Ali shot both Aina and Rayburn at point-blank range, killing them both instantly. He shot Ray first, thrice in the head and once in the throat. Aina stood there, terrified to her bones. There was no way she could escape. The man she fell in love with had turned into a monster right before her. He then turned to Aina and shot her on the forehead. Just when everyone expected him to run, he rather stood and took pictures of the crime scene. He took pictures of the house and the two bodies, which he sent to his family and friends. Many think he wasn't acting in his senses because every killer will be trying to run away from the crime scene. The next footage shows how Ali came out of the apartment calling his mom. He confessed to the crime, repeating that he shot and killed her, that he shot her in the head and she is dead. He also mentioned he had to go and pick up their daughter from school, which investigators found really cold, and apologized to the mom. Imagine being a teacher or administrator at that school, watching Ali chat with his child about her day, having no idea that he had just murdered her mother. The gun used in the killings was still in his car as he helped his daughter with her backpack and asked about her homework. That's how scary it was. When he had left the apartment, he called 911 trying to sound like a man who just found his wife dead. He said he found a man and his wife shot on the coach. He even pretended to cry on the call, but something was off. After being asked if he knew the man, he said he doesn't know him, but later said he knows him and he's called Ray. That's where signs began to show. Immediately after the call, Ali went straight to her daughter's school while officers fled to the crime scene. They forcefully entered the apartment and found the bodies. They had to quickly secure the environment and start an immediate investigation. After checking the security cameras, they realized Ali had committed the crime. They immediately called all police officers in the city and warned about Ali fleeing with his daughter and is most likely armed. After picking up his daughter, Ali tries to flee, but it was too late for him. A moment later, his vehicle was identified and pulled over where he was arrested. He was arrested right in front of his daughter, where he was seen screaming "I love you" to his daughter. The case attracted massive media attention because of Ali's social media fame, but also because of the shocking nature of the crimes. News outlets struggled to reconcile the image of the funny, charismatic TikTok star with the calculated killer who had stalked and murdered his wife. Police secured his phone, car, social media accounts and everything while taking him away. Investigators started going through every piece from his messages. Posts, videos, voice recordings, and every single information that gave a hint of what might have actually happened. While investigators were building the case, Ali was kept in custody where he made an unusual decision to grant an interview on TV. He was asked some questions where he insisted he shouldn't be asked whether or not he killed her. He appeared visibly shaken by the event. He admitted to overhearing Ryan and Anna through the device he had planted. When he heard a man's voice, he got agitated and ran to the apartment using the key he had duplicated. He claims from the start, he doesn't know who it was but knew that something was not right, the reason he fled to the apartment. When he arrived there, he found his wife kissing Ray on what he still considered his couch. Ali insisted in the interview that it was a crime of passion, though further investigations showed he was verbally and physically abusive to his wife. The investigation also uncovered the pattern of escalating abuse that had led to this moment. Friends and family members came forward with stories about Ali's controlling behavior and Aina's growing fear. Text messages showed Aina confiding in people about her concerns for her safety and her desire to escape the marriage. The trial began in 2024, nearly 3 years after the murders. Ali's defense team faced an almost impossible task. Their client had confessed, been captured on security cameras, and left behind a digital trail of surveillance and stalking. There was no way to argue innocence. Ali's recordings were played in court, which got everyone feeling sad for the young lady. Ali didn't seem to understand the gravity of the crime and he was seen laughing at some point. Later, he asked the recordings to be stopped, but the evidence was too clear. Instead, the defense focused on Ali's mental state, arguing that the murders were the result of a psychological breakdown rather than premeditated violence. They painted a picture of a man who had been overwhelmed by the pressures of fame and the collapse of his marriage. The prosecution had a mountain of evidence proving otherwise. The surveillance operation demonstrated months of calculated planning. The copied keys, the listening software, and the methodical approach to monitoring Aina's activities all pointed to a man who was thinking clearly and planning his actions. During the trial, the full extent of Ali's abuse became public. Aina's friends testified about her fear and her descriptions of Ali's controlling behavior. They spoke about watching a vibrant, confident woman become increasingly isolated and afraid. Family members described Aina's attempts to escape and her concerns about Ali's reaction to their separation. The prosecution also presented evidence about the impact on Ali and Aina's young daughter. The child had lost her mother to violence and her father to his own actions, becoming an orphan whose life had been destroyed by domestic abuse. In May 2024, after deliberating for several days, the jury found Ali Abulaban guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. The verdict reflected their conclusion that Ali had planned and executed the murders with clear premeditation. The conviction carried a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. At 34 years old, Ali Abulaban would spend the rest of his life behind bars for the murders of Aina Abulaban and Rayburn Cardenas Barron. During the sentencing hearing, Aina's family spoke about losing a loving mother, daughter, and sister whose life was cut short by a man who claimed to love her but ultimately destroyed her. They described the devastating impact on Aina's daughter, who would grow up without her mother because of her father's actions. Rayburn's family also spoke about their loss, describing a young man who had been trying to help a friend and paid the ultimate price for Ali's jealousy and rage. Ali showed little emotion during sentencing. The man who had once commanded attention with his charismatic performances sat silently as he was sentenced to die in prison. His social media empire, built with Aina's help, now served only as a grim reminder of how someone's public persona can mask their capacity for evil. Today, Ali Abulaban is serving his life sentence in a California state prison. The JinnKid accounts have been removed from most platforms, and the man who once had nearly 1 million followers is now known primarily as a convicted double murderer. The case serves as a stark reminder that domestic violence doesn't discriminate based on wealth, fame, or social media success. Aina's story repeats itself far too often, a victim who found the courage to leave but was killed by the very person she was trying to escape. It also highlights how technology can be weaponized in abuse situations. Ali's surveillance operation shows how abusers are adapting to new technologies to maintain control over their victims, even after separation. Aina Abulaban deserved to live free from fear, to raise her daughter, and to build the life she wanted. Instead, she became another casualty in the tragic epidemic of domestic violence. Her memory, and Rayburn's, should serve as a reminder of our collective responsibility to recognize the signs of abuse, support victims, and work toward a world where no one has to die for wanting to be free.